We're going to take a look today at what it takes to produce high-end PCBs here at MSB Technology. All of our circuit boards are built in-house in our own SMT and through-hole soldering department. I'm going to give you a quick overview of everything in the department so you can see what it takes to actually build a circuit board, and then we're going to come back and focus just on our stencil printer. There are 5 main steps to building a circuit board using different pieces of equipment. The first step is using our stencil printer here. What this does is it applies solder paste to a bare circuit board for the components to be stuck into, and it holds them in place until it's reflowed. Then coming to the next machine is our pick and place machine. This machine here picks up the individual components off the feeder, inspects them, and places them into the paste. Once that is complete, it comes over to our reflow oven. This reflow oven then takes the circuit board and melts the solder until it consolidates into one piece of metal. Second to last is our inspection process here. This machine will take the board in, inspect every component, read every part number, and verify it's correct. And then finally, we come to our board washer where we clean the boards to remove any flux or residual residue from the assembly manufacturing process. Let's get started with an in-depth look at our stencil printer here. So the first feature of this machine is the fact that it is the only machine on the market we could find that does full 3D inspection of the board. The reason why that is important is up to 90% of all errors in electronics SMT assembly can be traced back to this process. What I mean by a full 3D inspection is the board gets passed into the machine, it does a 3D scan of the bare board, it prints the board, then does a 3D scan of the board again and measures the volume of solder and the coverage of every pad and every joint on the board. If any of them have too much solder or not enough solder, it is flagged here on the screen to be reviewed by the operator. Another unique feature about this machine is it has a fully enclosed climate control system. On the top, we actually have a dedicated air conditioning and dehumidifying unit. It holds a very tight temperature and humidity, and this is very important for a high-quality process for the solder printing. As you can see here, there is a stencil. A stencil is a thin sheet of metal with apertures cut into it. Each one of the apertures is a little hole that lines up with the gold pads on the circuit board. When they line up, it then takes a squeegee and applies the paste through the apertures onto the board. You can see what a squeegee looks like. It's really just a thin sheet of flexible metal. It just slides across, applying the paste through the apertures onto the board. So now that you've seen the inside of the machine and you have a better understanding of what it does, I will show you a board from start to finish on this machine. So once the machine is set up and is ready, we then take a circuit board and we actually pass it into the side of the machine here. We've actually modified our machine here to be able to be fed in one board at a time. Normally, this would be set up in a long conveyor system. So to insert the board, we just simply slide it in, and it gets sucked into the machine. What the machine is doing now is it is actually going through and it is scanning the blank circuit board I just inserted into the machine. You can tell it's scanning by watching a little light pass across it. After it inspects the board, it's printing. So here's the machine applying the paste through the aperture onto the board. After the paste is applied, it then goes through and scans the board again to measure the volume of solder on every joint. So on this board, we had to come up with errors so I can show you what it does when it finds a fault. So as you can see on the screen here, it's indicating that this pad has 59% of the amount of solder that it should. And sometimes we'll get a false call and sometimes it's an actual error. So as you can see here on this board, it says we have 6 errors. So this is a board we would actually take out of the machine, clean off, and print it again. So as you can see, another pad it says is 54%. Here's one at 52. But if you can see, it does a very in-depth measurement of the board. So you can see here each pad and the volume of solder on it. So you can see this pad is printed correctly, and this is the one with insufficient solder. So you can see it is a smaller area. Once the print is verified as good, it'll come out to the review station where it is then sent into the next machine. Here there are two boards. One of them, as you can see, every pad is golden colored. And on the other board, it's now silver. What that is the solder paste that has been applied and inspected by this machine. What happens in the next step is parts are then placed into it and then reflowed in our reflow oven. Hope you enjoyed the overview of our stencil printer. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you next time when we go over the rest of the machines.